Okay, so today we're going to be talking about how to get the most out of a lat pull down. Now, the first thing you need to do is you need to make sure you set up the knee height correctly. Adjusting this little widget here, the idea is you want your knees to be quite firmly wedged underneath. So if it's up here, you're not going to be getting any support. You want it to be locked down. So all the way down onto your knees, nice and tightly. The next thing you need to do is you need to make sure you get the correct bar. So if it's listed as a lat pull down, what you want to do is you want to have a straight bar like this. Now, we can use other bars. If I ever program you to have a mag pull down, obviously if you're at the gym here, then you can use this one. But otherwise, you can also use ones which have a neutral grip that hold on like this. The bar that we never really want you to use is that something that looks like this or anything similar. They might be a little bit wider. The whole point is we need to make sure that your hands are at least at your shoulder width in order for this kind of thing to be effective. So let's talk about grip width. In order for you to basically engage your lat the most effectively, which is this big muscle down here, and this is the one that we're trying to work on most, is we need to make sure that your end position is something like coming down to the position where your hands are just slightly wider than your shoulders. That's the grip width that you should use on the bar. So for me, it's going to be something around here, but obviously everyone's a bit different on this one. So make sure that you get that bit correct first. The point of this exercise is we're trying to work your lats, which are the big muscle in your back, the muscles in between and around your shoulder blades, your biceps, and a little bit on your forearms. The main thing you should feel is the pressure in the upper back and in the lats. So let's get into the movement. Once you've found the correct width, the thing that we want you to do at the top of the rep is actually, excuse the squeaking, is actually start with your shoulders as high up as you can. So what you're thinking is you're trying to get your armpits as close to your ears as possible. The reason for this is that we're trying to actually get your shoulder blade to lift as much as it possibly can, so you're creating a stretch in that muscle, which basically allows you to put tension through it, gives it good leverage to make the movement work, and will mean that your back is working more than your biceps. If you start with your shoulder blade sort of pinned down here and just pull there, the only thing that's actually moving here is my elbows. And if my elbows are moving, that means that this is the main muscle. If my shoulders are moving, as in my shoulder blades are coming up and down, then this means that my back muscles are doing most of the work. Now that we've got you on the bar, what we want to do next is think about bracing properly. So push your knees up into the pad, get your feet nice and tight against the floor. We want to lift your chest up and actually make sure you can feel a little bit of tension on your abs before you start to pull. So coming down, touch the top of the chest, and then come up nice and slowly as we come up like this. Something which is going to really help you to feel it more in your back is to concentrate on trying to initiate the movement by moving your elbows like this, as opposed to moving your shoulders like this. And yeah, although this doesn't necessarily seem intuitive, what that means is that your back is actually pulling your elbows down first, actually allowing you to engage it maximally. The next thing is where to aim for your chest. If you pull too far down, so you're coming down here, you can see what happens is my shoulder blades lift up, which is the exact opposite of what we want them to do. They roll forwards, which is exactly the opposite of what we want them to do. And actually, what you're not doing is working your back very much at all. What we want to do is aim to hit the bar just below where your collarbone is. If you hit that point, you've done a good rep. And actually what you'll feel is your shoulder blades and all the muscles around your back squeezing really hard, and ultimately that's what we're going for. Something else you see a lot of in this kind of thing is people leaning right back and kind of pulling into their chest in this position here. What we actually want is we want your arms relative to your torso to be stretched right above your head. The problem with that is that as you pull down, what ends up happening is your head's in the way, right? So what you will find most useful is just a little bit of lean. So you're leaning slightly forward at the top, and then you pull and just lean back very slightly as you come down. So you're creating that space for you to stretch your lats, and then lean back and pull the shoulder blades all the way down to the bottom. And then as you start to fatigue, what will tend to happen is that this bit from here to here will start to go. For most people, especially unless you're completely brand new, what I would suggest that you do is that you kind of accept that you are going to get a little bit of lack of range of motion as you start to fatigue and to keep going. I would suggest that you stop the reps that when you start to get to the point where you can't get it below your eye line. If you can't get it below your eye line, then you're toast. But if you're just off your chest, then that's okay. And that will actually help you to get as much out of this exercise as possible. The only thing I would say is only count the reps that touch your chest, okay? Any extra ones at the end are just there to help you to really work your back and make sure it works hard. The last little note is that I'll very, very rarely program this with a slow tempo. The reason for that is because if you're doing it slowly, if it takes you 60 seconds to complete the set, your hands are having to hold on for this entire time and you're taking 10 seconds per rep. This basically means that your hands are going to have to work really hard because they're going to have to hold on to the bar for ages. That's going to become the limiting factor and you're not going to make your back work. So be careful of the tempo on this. Chances are I'm going to give you a faster tempo. And for most people, most of the time, it's going to be something that looks like pull down for 1, come up smoothly, pull down for 1, come up nice and smoothly, okay? Hopefully that helps, and let me know if you have any questions.